And I've seen on your Facebook page you
Hmm.
using guitar effects and
Hmm.
playing your guitar, and what a guitarist!
Mm.
Your guitar style and what the
Mm.
clips I've seen, it's very melodic,
Mm.
almost vocal like.
Yeah.
Um, you
I'm
know,
always trying for that. I'm always, as a singer, I'm always trying to get my guitar to do what my voice is doing.
yeah, that comes across. Yeah,
And my biggest influence in terms of musically, like instrumentally, is the saxophone player Ben Webster. He's my favorite. Um, he had a tremendously playful, he's bebop kind of phrasing, but very breathy. And he didn't live in the tempos that, like, Charlie Parker lived at. He lived more in the medium swing or even slow ballad. That was where he really shined.
mm,
And his tone is so vocal.
yeah,
So I'm always trying to figure out how to do that with that instrument, like
yeah. Well,
ha,
you achieve it. That's the thing that comes across. It's those
trying to
those
getting there.
vocal lines are coming
Hmm.
through on you, and there's a lot of I've seen a lot of sort of ambient types of things and
Mm.
using sort of ambience delays and reverbs and things like that.
Yeah,
Is that
I'm a
what you
big.
like to
I
use?
do like. Yeah, I do like to play with. I love the full tone super trem. I set that on like basically the lowest pulse, the lowest speed. There's a rate knob and a mix
That's right.
knob, and
Yeah.
I basically set it at the lowest rate. On there's a little button too where you can speed up the, like, I think it has two gears basically.
Yep.
So I put it in the lowest gear and I put it on the lowest rate, and then I mix it in like very tiny, a teeny tiny a bit, just so you can get, so there's that kind of like wobble.
Yeah. It
Um,
gives movement.
yeah, it gives movement. Now, a lot of people can get that with their vibrato. I'm not a, t- I never really learned how to play with a lot of vibrato. It's something that I'm studying now and thinking about more now as I really dive into trying to sound like Ben Webster and figuring out how I can do that on a stringed instrument. But so that's one thing. And then I'm looking down at my pedal board. That's where I'm looking down.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been experimenting with a lot of delays, but I don't get into those like crazy
No.
complicated, like 20 buttons. But just like simple ones like the delay llama.
Yeah.
I really
Wow.
love the delay llama.
Yeah, it's a beautiful pedal.
Beautiful pedal, especially the delay llama plus where you have the you can use the foot pedal for it.
Yeah.
Problem is I live about I can see the Empire State Building from my back window in my apartment in New York. And the Empire State Building is also like a radio tower. And
Right.
I get tons of radio signal in my
Wow.
pedals and through my amplifiers if I'm not careful. And the delay llama, maybe one of you awesome pedal people can help me solve this problem, but I don't have tons of energy, and
Yeah.
I loved the delay llama plus, but I couldn't. It would just like every time I engaged it, it was like I was listening to FM radio basically, and so I had to move on from that. And what I found was I love this pedal called the Navigator by Emma Electronic.
All right.
It's from Denmark.
Right.
It's basically two delays, one delay and then a second delay. Um, and having only ever had one delay, it was even cooler to be able to engage both, and get some really even more wobble on the
Yeah.
sound. So I like those. Reverb, of course, reverb's always in there. Um, so those are the main things. I mean, I was joking with you earlier before we got on that I have six pedals on my pedal board, but like I really only use three of them. So I'm
That's
much more of a pedal minimalist, But
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, my pedal board is like this because I play in sort of tribute bands and things like that.
of course, yeah.
If the band wants to play a
Oh,
particular song, I've got to have that effect there so I can.
my solving of that problem is this classic
Oh yes.
pedal, but I got it modded by JHV3. And that was a little tip I got from Matt Beck. Fantastic guitar player, amazing guitar player, New York guy, just incredible player, who could do anything. And
Yeah.
he played electric on my new record, Bright Nowhere, and his pedal board looks much like yours because he has to do everything.
Yeah.
And I saw this and I was like, wait a second, what's that little symbol on there? He's like, oh, you can get your things like this modded by JHV3, and it just kind of upgrades it circuitry wise and sound wise.
Yeah.
And so I use that. And then my main sort of just always on is a something called the Ghost Drive by JHV3.
All right.
And it's an overdrive, but I don't engage the overdrive. I just leave the sort of always on drive. And it sounds beautiful. And he's one of your guys. He's one of like a boutique pedal guy.
Yeah.
You know, that does mods and basically makes, other than the Ghost Drive, I'm not sure what else he makes, but I love the Ghost Drive.
Yeah. Wow. And do effects at all sort of influence any sort of, or take your songwriting in a particular direction at all?
Sometimes though, like I tend to write very simply on a classical guitar or an acoustic guitar, steel string guitar, mostly because my philosophy is like, if it sounds good on that, it's a good song. Like if it can come across without all the trickery, it's a great song.
I'm smiling to myself because Sean Webster of the Sean Webster band said exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Like if you can because you can take any great song, any song and if it's a great song and you strip it down and play it on an acoustic guitar, it's still a great song. So the opposite is true. So I tend to always write in a very simple setting, and then later on go in and think about what it might sound like or that kind of thing.